Hello and welcome to another edition of Eddie G's Music World. Today is November 5th, 2018, and we're going to do something a little bit different. I don't know why, but I've been just pissed off about so many things lately, and I say them on Twitter sometimes I don't. I say them on listening threads, sometimes I don't. But today I'm going to tell everybody here what bothers me. I've just been thinking about it the last 4 or 5 days and writing them down. So I'll do those, and then after that, I'll get to the rest of the top 500 albums, or at least a little deeper into the list of top 500 albums. And, if anybody has anything to say about my rants and gripes that I'm going to read off and talk about, you're free to mention it in the comments section. Okay, I see this all the time, everywhere I go. When I'm in a store, when I'm in going to institution like a bank or school or whatever it is. Fake smiles. I hate it. You don't know me. You don't care about me. I don't know you. I don't care about you. You want something from me. Maybe I want something from you. Doesn't matter the reason. But when people smile at me and they don't care about me and they don't know me, which is often the case, it's just BS. It doesn't mean anything. The smiles are not real. I smile at you. I'm just as phony. I don't care about you either. But this goes on constantly, daily, nightly, in all the time. People don't know each other, don't care about each other. They're smiling at each other just so they can act like they care. And they don't care. There's always another motive, or it's phony, or it's fake. It's not real. I don't like them in. I'm going to say it, and I said it. And that's one of my rants off my list. These are all random thoughts that I jotted down. Another thing. All the main networks, CNN and MSNBC, CTV, CBC, Fox, everywhere you go, disaster coverage is all set up to get the viewers hooked into your channel. You don't act like you sincerely care that 8 people died or 11 people died. Maybe sometimes you do care. Maybe sometimes it's important to you, the people that are saying the news, that they act like they care. But so often, it's all behind the scenes. Phone calls are made telling people to be morose and sad when they get on the show on CNN and talk about some big disaster that happened. And then they have the crisis people that go and, they have the water up to their knees in a flood when there's dry land like 1 foot away, and they make it sound more terrible. And people die, and they have all these sadness people coming on the air and going on and on and on about how horrible it is. And they only care about ratings. They want you to watch their show. They want you to not change the channel. It's all set up. It's all fake. It's all done to keep you listening, to get more money to the advertisers. That's all it is. Sure, there's some people who genuinely care. I believe that. They're not all horrible people, but most of it, they're managers, they're producers. They tell them, act like you care. Act sad that these people died. Act sad about a bomb that went off. And, they're doing a job. You're being manipulated. Next on my list, number 3. There's women on Twitter. They don't know who I am. They follow me. I follow them back. And guess what? It's some kind of a scam. They want to kind of get you to think that they're in desperate need of you to fly them out somewhere and help them with some problem. And they're not interested in you. They're not interested in me. They're just showing up. They're on Twitter. They're trying to manipulate the men. They're trying to get lonely men. They're trying to get men that are looking for a distraction. And it's some Russian people or some other culture behind it trying to manipulate you out of money. They want something from you. They're not interested in you. You're a 50-something guy, married, divorced, single, whatever it is. They're not looking for you. 60-year-old men, 70-year-old, 50, 40. They're out there to scam you. They want money. They want some kind of an excuse for you to think that they're going to be interested in you if you send them $500 or something. This has been going on for a bit. I've seen it on Twitter. They try it with me. I'm not interested for complicated reasons. I'm not looking to get mixed into some foreigner's trick to get money out of me. I know what you're up to. Stop doing it. Okay. Speaking of scams, that gives me the next one on my list that really, really bugs me. Constant calls every month on my phone and my wife's phone. Chinese calls where they're saying something in Chinese. And I looked into this, like, why am I getting this calls? Why are the people getting this calls? You know what it is? They are trying to get you to think that you have some money from when you left China, and you have to listen to their instructions in order to get the money out of China, give them your information. So it's a scam aimed at Chinese people, because English people, French people, Greek people, they don't understand what the hell these Chinese people are saying. But I looked into it, and these Chinese people are out to screw you too. And then you get all the other, now that I'm on the topic of the financial screwings of people, attempts to get me and everybody else, these people, like, I get fake Visa emails saying, you have $800 being refunded to fill out all your financial information. You know what? I did it one time because it said it's from Visa. So I did it, and then I had to cancel the Visa card because I had to put all the information of the card that they wanted to give me my money back on in order to get the money. So, of course, like a dope, I did it, realized it was fake. Visa told me, cut up the card. So they didn't get a penny out of me, but I'm sure if I would have not canceled the card, they would have probably gotten around to screwing me. I've had days where I open up my banking information. No, when I didn't have a password on my computer, I would go downstairs, open up the computer, and my banking pages would be open. They were trying to steal money from me there. I get every bank email me, calling me, scamming me. I get people selling windows and doors calling me. I have to hang up on a few of those. Constantly after me, manipulating me out of money. Why? Oh, of course, the Nigerian ones, and the people from other countries, and oh God, it never ends. These criminals, they used to run into your house and break down the door and try to steal money that you might have a few $100s in a drawer or jewelry. These people don't do that anymore. They're after you on the telephone, the internet, mail, everything they can to get you to screw you out of the money. So I'm really mad about that and sick and tired of dealing with these people. I have one that, the next one, number 5 on my list, it goes back to my fake smiles one. It's kind of similar. Small talk, or nodding hello. That's the one I want to talk about. Nodding hello. I met let's say I go to school to drop my kids off, and there's a guy that, somehow our eyes got connected, and he said something to me. You have a shirt from the Seattle Seahawks. You must be a huge fan. And I said, you know what? I just bought the shirt because it was $8 in the store, or $12. I don't really care about the team that much. They don't matter to me any more than any other team. That was 2 years ago. And because I had that conversation, society says you've got to acknowledge each other for the rest of your fucking lives. He has to nod at you. You have to nod back at him, like you're connected into some kind of social spider web that you both got caught in, that because he once said hi to you and made a comment to you and you responded, it's like you got to constantly acknowledge each other for the rest of the time that you might see each other. And since we both have kids going to the same school, of course I'm going to see the guy again every 5 days a week. And if my eyes see his eyes, he's going to have to nod to me, and I'm going to have to nod back. And yeah, now we're some kind of fake friends. And this has been, this bothers me to no end. You know what? I'm in my little tiny circle. I let a couple of people into my circle. I don't want to let 19, 25 people into my society, into my world. It's complicated enough. It's stressful enough. There's all kinds of interaction going on. I don't want to add to that. So don't nod to me hello anymore. I won't nod back to you either. Small talk, similar thing. Hi, how's it going? It's good. What's new? Fine. So nobody really cares about how you're doing. You know that? They say to me, how are you doing? And guess what? If you answer, it's going to be like a long story about all kinds of issues that you're having. Or if you ask them, how you doing? What's new? How's it going? They're going to talk about their problems. You don't want to hear about their problems either. I've had entire conversations with one guy, who I won't mention, where for 40 minutes in a row, I can complain about my life, and then he complains about his, and absolutely, I'm sure he doesn't care or listen to what I'm saying, and I don't listen or really care about what he's saying. It's just an outlet to gripe and complain, and it happens all the time. It goes on all the time. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm just bringing it to light. I'm shining the flashlight on the reality of the situation. So small talk, wasting time, talking about problems. Stop it. It's enough. I'm sick of it. Here we are. We're in November 5th. And what are we dealing with? The dollar stores just dragged all their Halloween crap out of their stores and stuck all their fake Christmas crap in there. So now you're dealing with that reality. So now everybody's got to be in the Christmas mood. It's all fake too. Oh, Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday. Go feed a turkey to some homeless guy. Go help out a veteran. All of a sudden, January 2nd comes. You go back to being a miserable, selfish person that only cares about you and your family. And the other people do the same thing. But the Christmas time for 19 days, everybody loves each other and goes and buys things for each other and is nice to each other just because you're taught that 2018 years ago somebody was born and everybody worshipped him, and God, good for you. Maybe it's true. Maybe you should worship him. But society, with all this Christmas, Hanukkah too, if you're Jewish, it's all kind of like wrapped up in this phony niceness, this temporary niceness. It doesn't mean anything. It's all fake. It lasts for 2 to 3 weeks, and then you go back to being miserable and go back to the same world that you were in and you were forced into, and you got to go on and deal with all the reality. So this Christmas stuff, holiday stuff, it's all meaningless to me. Number 8 on my list. I hate this. I go to a store. They act like they care and the prices are great. You go in. A bottle of ketchup is $2.82. You buy it. The same bottle of ketchup, 2 weeks later, $3.11. No reasoning, no rationale. They make it higher, they make it lower, they make it in the same, then they're competing with someone else. Then they have the flyers and they have the specials, and then you go in and it's more expensive because you didn't go here. You're constantly running back and forth trying to save 25 cents on each product, or $1 or $2, and it's goddamn annoying. It always happens. Other things, people in line with coupons, slow down the line. I've been in grocery stores, and these women, they have like 20 pieces of paper in their hand. If you are buying something for $5.99 in a store 10 miles away selling it for $5.79, this woman has got the paper in her hand and the flyer of that other store and fighting with the cashier to lower it by 20 cents because she knows that some store 10 miles away dropped it 20 cents less, and you've got to match it. So you're sitting there. Some woman is saving 93 cents for her whole grocery store list, and I'm sitting there waiting for her to whip out that paper for every 6 or 7 products, which takes an extra 10 minutes of me waiting for her to finish. It drives me crazy. I'm sick of it all. But it's true, I have to deal with it all the time, and I see these coupon ladies, and men too, I'm sure. But I've never seen a man do it. It's always a woman, as far as I can remember. Okay, this is reflecting of a couple of things that have happened to me in the last few weeks. People, like for example, a doctor gave me a prescription for a new pill. So go to the pharmacy. They won't give me the pill unless they pay $100, which they will reimburse me for a few weeks later, because the doctor didn't write down on the prescription pad the reason why he's switching me from one pill to another pill. And I explained to the woman the reason, and no, she doesn't care. She has to see it in writing from my doctor that wrote the prescription. So what do? I'm trying to reach that doctor to go write his explanation in a code so that the pharmacist can give me my pills. So I got to go through all this stupidity because of some stupid law from the Quebec government. In order to get something, I got to have a doctor prove his case to a pharmacy, to a government. And I'm the one that wants the new medication. So everything's not done perfectly according to plan, and I'm going to be the one that suffers, that waits. And I don't like it, and it's happening to me all the time. Another thing, this really started to getting me crazy. I have a lot of doctors to see, dentists, I have therapists, whatever it is, different things for my kid, for my wife, for this, for that. Every appointment I make, I write it down. It's November 17th, 2 o'clock, go to Dr. blah, blah, blah. 90% of these doctors make the receptionist call me to remind me. I don't have fucking Alzheimer's. I know if I have to be there at 2 o'clock, November 17th at Dr. Joe Blow, I'm going to be there, or I'm going to call and cancel if I can't be there. I don't need you to call me a day or two before to tell me to be somewhere that you told me already 2 times before. I don't need all these reminders. Don't forget, if you got 12, 15 people in the family, just let's say all the kids and wife, if you have 50 appointments a year, that's 50 reminders, 75 reminders, whatever it is, it never ends. The phone rings, don't forget to go. And what's worse, I have to deal with the hospital. So they save money, these geniuses, and they have a robot. They go, hello, this is to remind you. Your son has to visit Dr. Blah, blah, blah. Please press 1 to accept, or 2 to say you're not sure, or 3 to cancel. Please do that after the tone. Beep, beep, beep. You're pressing buttons to a robot that's not even listening, but of course it has to make sure that you didn't cancel. So it's the same mentality. It's just not a human being. It's a robot doing it. But on and on it goes. These dumb rituals, these dumb society things that I've got to deal with day in and day out that drive me insane. And that's a big one. Here, while I was writing this list, my pen ran out of ink. I swear to God, these pen makers are the devil. They're Nazis. They put enough ink to last that you write 15, 20 things down. All of a sudden, this is for felt pens, for regular pens. Doesn't matter. The goddamn thing runs out of ink. And you're sitting there, you're trying to write something down. It's in your head. Somebody tells you something, and you've got to write it down before you forget it. And there you are. You're writing something down, and halfway between the beginning of the sentence and the end, the pen stops working. So you're grinding it out. You're squeezing hard on the pen. You're trying to get your message across, and you cannot do it because the pen runs out of ink. So I end up snapping the bloody pens and throwing them in the garbage. And I swear I've thrown out 3 pens in the last 2 weeks. You do the same thing. I just bought 10 new pens just because I have to have a pen around me all the time. I have to write stuff down all the time. I got to make sure of stuff. I got to write it in my agenda book. I got to change things. I need a pen. I have to write a list of food that I have to buy in a grocery store. It has to have a pen, a reliable pen. And no, I don't want to use a pencil. It's not been a fun day, but I'm going to get to the end of this list if it kills me. Not that many left. I think I've got 7 more. Okay. This has been bothering me for so many years, and I can't tell you. Companies that are advertising on TV, they're either drug companies or they're other retailers or wholesalers or whatever the product is. They put in massive print all the things that they want you to know about their product to get you to buy the product. And then what happens is they're forced by law and by government to add new information to the announcement, to the ad, because they have to tell all the truth about the medication or whatever it is. So you see it in minuscule, tiny little letters that if you have like if you're Superman, you can't read. So they do it so you can't see what it is that they don't want you to see, but they have to show it because by law, they have to tell you the whole truth about what they're trying to sell you. They do that on the TV, and what's worse, they do it in radio too. Hello, buy this product, blah blah blah, and then at the end, this product is not approved by the United States and not available in Nebraska. So all this stupid bullshit that they don't want, they force to tell you. They do it on the radio like that, and then if you look at a newspaper announcement, it's the same thing, tiny little print about whatever they're trying to sell you, but they don't want to tell you, but they have to by law, so or government or law or whatever. So this goes on a constant basis too. And I see these things and it bothers me. I know a lot of people are listening to me. Doesn't matter. Maybe one day, time capsule wise, in 2073, somebody will stumble on my gripes and my comments and my music knowledge and maybe listen to it. If not, I don't care. Okay, so that bothers me a lot. You're being tricked, people. You're going on these ads. You're watching them on TV. You're not being told everything there is to tell about this product. You're not being told. They're hiding it. They're making it into minuscule, almost invisible little tiny notes. That's what they're doing, and you're a victim of it. Okay. Oh boy, this is a weird one. I wrote it down, but it's truly crazy. Well, I'll say it anyway because it doesn't really matter. Anybody see the movie Envy, where they Jack Black and forget the other guy's name. They invent a machine that vaporizes excrement shit, and they would put it through this special machine, and the machine would throw it in the atmosphere, so they would get it off the earth. Because let's face it, it's disgusting. We have to do it. I wish that this could happen if there was some kind of a way to transport that to another planet that we don't care about, that no one's ever going to go to, like a massive catapult to send it off somewhere else, off the planet, because it's ruining the earth. I don't know how the human body creates such waste and just is. I mean, you're dealing with Montreal and Longueuil, two cities. I'm in close to both of those cities where they have multi-million liters being pumped in directly into the water because they didn't filter it properly or whatever. It's like you're dealing with water that was clean that people are dumping sewage in, putting it through a cleaning filtration system, and then they end up somewhere in your food or your water or your. It's like disgusting. They've got to come up with something else. Get rid of this stuff. It's got to go to another planet where nobody's ever going to go. Is anyone going to Mercury? No. So throw it all there. I know it's bizarre. I was captivated by the thought process of this. You're listening to a bizarro Eddie G's Music World where I just had to get some gripes off my chest. I don't care if you listen or not. It's just get it off, get it out of my system. And I'm just, that is exactly what I'm doing. Here, number 13. This has been an ongoing situation. I don't know what's going on. I bought a brand new mattress within 5 days. You know, it gets a little bit droopy, like you sit on the side and the springs kind of start to wear down. And then you roll towards the middle of the mattress. It's like $1,000 brand new mattress. You roll towards the middle of the mattress. It gets to be a bit of like a hill to climb with your body. So after a year, I actually complained to the store that I bought it from. And it was a Sealy mattress. It wasn't junk. And I convinced the guy through his return policy to take it back, but he insisted on giving me the same brand. And I said, what's the point? It's going to happen again. No, it's because you got a faulty springs, blah, blah, blah. So sure enough, I got a brand new one again after 1 year, didn't pay, free. And for 2 weeks, it was okay. And now I see the same kind of thing is happening. It's drooping a bit on the side. It's kind of not even in the middle. You're kind of going up a tiny hill when you're moving your body and you're sleeping. It's crazy. So the similar things are happening. My body, wife's body, whatever, we're not skinny. We're creating too much pressure on the springs, and they're drooping because of it, as a result of that. And this, now, what do? I don't want to call this guy a third time. He said I could, because he's going to tell me it's the default of the springs for that mattress, but the mattress is the best in the world, and I shouldn't complain, about the mattress, and he would replace it. So, I can't believe I'm back to not liking the mattress after like 3 weeks. But that's exactly the situation. I'm back with a lousy not a lousy mattress. It's mostly good, but if you move too much a certain direction, you kind of sense it's not as good as it should be or could be. We're getting close to the end of the list on Eddie G's Music World. I could complain all day. That's what I do. But I'm not going to. There's not many left. Appliance breakdowns. Oh my God, I can't tell you how many things have broken in the last year. You're using a microwave that stops working. Boom, $80 for a new one. Coffee machine stops making the coffee. Throw that out, another $30. And everything is built to bust, to break. Toasters, microwaves. My fridge is constantly making noises. You have to kick it. If it's too full, it doesn't cool off as well. It's just things are breakdown body parts, hips, legs, knees. My neighbor, it's like, what? Everything is falling to pieces. Fences, everywhere I look, I see things breaking down, not working, almost broken, will be broken soon, already broke. And, then you got to go run out and waste your time buying it. I have a TV that's almost 2 years old. I assume that that's going to stop working too. And no, of course I didn't spend the extra $100 they tried to get me to spend for an extended warranty, because I figured, what am I going to do? Keep the warranty, start writing out things, get a humongous box and stick the TV in and send it off to God knows where and wait for them to give me another one because I qualify for it. I'm just going to pray that it lasts 5-6 years, and then I'll throw it out and get another one like everything else that breaks. So appliances that break, that don't work, you have to deal with it. It's kind of like the mattress problem. Everything starts bugging me after a while. Okay, number 15 on the list. Old people with tattoos and piercings. So I actually have 16. Okay, old people with tattoos and piercings. you're when you were 18 and 21 and you were a sailor and you were going off to sea. Maybe it was fun to put a tattoo on. Okay, maybe it was cool. You were Joe Blow the sailor, or you're just some drunken fool in a bar, and your buddies told you to go get a tattoo, or you got a piercing when you were 35 because maybe that was cool when the Sex Pistols was out, and then we're all putting piercings in your face. But now you're 75 years old. I see you all downtown, and just broken down looking people with little nose rings, and you're 73 years old, and you got blotchy old worn out tats. Even if you're young, tattoos and piercings. I don't get it. The whole idea, the concept nauseates me. You're going to be old. You're going to have to get that dumb. Look at this stupid idiot, Pete Davidson. He just had a huge tattoo of his girl. He thought he was marrying Ariana Grande, and he had one before that for his ex-girlfriend, and he's got to remove another tattoo. So you thought you'd love this person forever. You got this stupid tattoo. Now you're stuck with it. Now you got to remove it. You got to put chemicals on it to get rid of it. And when you're old, if you keep the tattoos, they get all run down and worn out looking. They faded. The piercings, there's nothing there that I like. Women go from an 8 to a 5 when I see the stupid ring in their nose, in their tongues, in their cheeks. I mean, what's the point? You were born with a skin and bones and parts. You don't need to add tribal ink and piercings to your look. It's going to look worse when you're old. Trust me. Don't do it when you're young or ever. Stop. Oh my God, it's my last one. It's a good one, though. Listen, we're all born. When you're 1, 2, 3, it's cute. 4, 5, 6, 7, 12, 13. Birthday presents. I hate them. I have to come up with something every year for 4, 5, 6 people every year for the rest of my life that don't need anything. They don't need anything. So I got to go guess at a gift. I've had people buy gifts for me that I don't want. I don't like. They sit on a shelf. You spend $50. You put it in a box. You put it in a postage stamps, or you gave it to me in person. I don't want the gift. I don't like the gift. No more gifts. No more birthdays. I would, if I ever had power, which I never have and never will, I would make birthdays illegal. Even when don't start them at 1. It's not going to do any good because they're going to expect it till they're 85 and almost dead. You got to go to a hospital with a guy with tubes up his nose and give him a stupid gift that you bought. Now I'm down to buying gift cards because I can't find anything for people that can go run around and go to a store and buy their own gift. I have to come up with all these gift ideas. You've got to come up with them for me. I've got to come up with them for you. Stop. No more gifts. Nothing. Nothing. You were born. You didn't accomplish anything. Your mother was pregnant. She gave birth to you. Good for you. You crawled out. Waste your time. Have a good life. Whatever it is. But you don't deserve a present for being born. No more. Okay? Stop with the gifts. But of course, I'm stuck having to buy them. So I can't get out of the treadmill. I've got to buy the gifts. I have them bought for me. Not happy about it, but that's it. I've said it all. All right. I got it off my chest. I feel better now. Even though I was on a message board where somebody told me to stop talking about my personal life, the site was Radio Gunk. They said I'm annoying people there. So I've had a bad day just from this comment that they gave me. Feel like maybe they want to ignore me and not hear about my problems. So, okay, you're not going to hear about them. I'm off. I'm not talking to them for a while. They don't want me saying my personal issues. I don't blame them. But it doesn't mean that I can't be sad by the whole idea of what they said. Okay. We have now finished my gripes for the week. Now we're at the top 500 albums of all time according to Rolling Stone on Eddie G's Music World. Yes, Music World for November 5th, 2011. Hi to Creeper Freak and the Grigster if you're out there listening. Griggy, I'm just not in the mood. I don't think I can call tonight. I just got too much stuff going on, and I want to hit the hay and get out of this crazy week. And I'm doing this show out of devotion, and I'd love to call your show. I hope it goes well tonight. I love you, buddy. You listened to me. You came after me. You found me on Twitter in obscurity, and you sent me a nice message. You keep a freak. You listen. You care. I like your funny stories too. And we're a tiny club. At least I'm in it. And it's good to have people that appreciate me, and I appreciate them too. Speaking of not appreciating someone, Bruce Springsteen's album is at number 467, Tunnel of Love. Now, I remember this album because it came out just before I broke up with a girlfriend, and it's about him breaking up with Phillips, one of his, I forget her name. He was married to some girl named Phillips, I think, and it was kind of reflecting his, I think this is the one where he's reflecting his personal issues with his wife and how things were not working out well. They had a couple of good songs. The song Tunnel of Love and Brilliant Disguise, I think, were on this album. And it kind of showed that he wasn't really happy in his marriage. And there was some good music coming out of there. So I enjoyed it. And I like Springsteen. I've seen him once live, and I had a good time. So good for Bruce. Here he is at number 467, pouring his heart out. And we're going to see what's at number 466. Coldplay, A Rush of Blood to the Head. Okay, quite a bit is known about Coldplay. Remember when they came out with their song Yellow, and impressed me with that music and all the other songs. Kind of like a U2. Chris Martin married to Gwyneth Paltrow, and all the drama there, uncoupling, they have separate houses and this and that, and they've had the great music, they've had the popularity, like all groups that have been around 20 years. There's probably a little less pedestal watching of them. Maybe people are saying, well, you're great, but even U2, their album sales are not what they were. So Coldplay, as great as they are, pretty sure they felt a little bit that the time has kind of not passed them by yet. Let's just say they're not as big as they were when they came out in the 90s, that's for sure. 465, Complete Blank, The Magnetic Field. I'm going to start writing down these bands that are on this list. So maybe I'll go and look them up and learn a little bit. Okay, let's see. Magnetic Fields, because I don't know much about these guys or girls. So why don't I learn? It's my career to learn about music. A guy named Stephen Merritt was in the band, wrote songs, came out in 99. Mix of bubblegum Afropop is what I'm remembering hearing about. Anyway, go listen for yourselves. I guess I will, to brush up on these guys. I wrote it down. 464 on the list is Def Leppard. This was one of their albums. I'm trying to think of which is the one that was the massive one. Was it this one? 1987. So yeah, it must have been the one with the Love Bites and all that. So did see them twice. Went through a lot of trouble with the drummer losing his arm in a car crash and all kinds of well-known issues that I discussed on my music discussion of Def Leppard. And saw them on this tour. Pour Some Sugar was on this album, and based on the year that it came out, 1987, that's the big one that made them much more popular, sold like 15, 20 million records. 465, Echo and the Bunnymen. Pretty sure they came to town lately. Kind of an old alternative punky, not really punky, new wave type of thing. Not a mainstream band by any stretch. Not a band that that was like top of the pops, Billboard smashing records, selling lots of songs. I know one or two of them, but I'm kind of getting them mixed up with other groups that were in the same level as them from the same era. There's about a dozen bands that came out that were kind of underground or overground, but not by a lot. So Echo and the Bunnymen are one of these guys. A guy named Ian McCulloch was in it. Probably went on to do another band too, and not a band I know a lot about, but I do know, and I've heard a couple of their songs. But that's number 463. REM, yes, I know quite a bit about them. This is the album Document. Did see them live. Had that One I Love song on this one, which was super big. And The End of the World as We Know It was on this. I didn't like that one. Kind of a bit silly. And the other song they had, Stand, that wasn't necessarily on this album, but it's one of the REM songs that I never was that crazy about. But they had a great career. They came out early 80s, late 90s, kind of drifted off into the sunset. From what I can remember, broke up since then. And hey, it's not a bad thing to break up when you amassed a fortune with a huge record contract a few years before you disbanded and cashed in. Here we go. Number 461. Public Image Limited. Never seen them, but they're showing up like in the middle of the week into town on a late, weeknight, late at night. I got to go very, very far to go see them. So I've never seen them. I don't think I ever will because I'm going to very few concerts now. I just passed up a show from Jack White because it meant going on a Saturday when I want to relax with my family, and there's no metros near my house, and the train stops late, and I can't go because if I go, I'm going to be stuck in traffic for hours. I just passed up on a free show. But this Public Image Limited was, of course, John Lydon from the Sex Pistols, his project that he created a little bit later on. And he's shown up on TV with a couple of things here and there, and he's did a reunion with the Sex Pistols. But they're not a band that got a lot of airplay, but you could be wrong, you could be right, and different things. And I actually got blocked by Roseanne Barr on Twitter because I defended something that John Lydon did, and 99% of the time, famous people don't reply to me on Twitter. But in this case, they did reply. Roseanne did reply and called me all kinds of names, saying that she was right to throw him out of the studio when he was on her talk show because he attacked her. And I was just thrilled to get attention from such a big star. So that's my John Lydon story. Public Image Limited. Let's say he came out with 20 records. I probably know 2 songs. So to go see him live, the only thrill for me would be to meet him and see if he's really as big a tough guy as his image is. Number 460, Hole, Live Through This. Of course, Courtney Love's band. I liked this group. They had about 5 or 6 songs. Probably would be tempted to see them if they came here. Don't know if I would. Famously had Melissa Oftemore from Montreal in the band for a period. I think she replaced someone else, maybe from the Pumpkins or some other band. But she carved out quite a good career, Hole, for a good 4 albums, 4 CDs, whatever, and kind of made a few movies and started drifting out of the music. And as far as I know, the band is mostly dormant and not out there doing anything at all. I don't think they're together. And this came out just after Kurt Cobain died. And well, we'll see if she ever gets back to music. Hole, I doubt it. But her daughter has been through the ringer with her breakup with some guy that wanted Kurt Cobain's guitar that he used and the divorce settlement. So there's been quite a bit of controversy with this family. Moving on, number 459, The Drifters, Golden Hits. The Drifters, quite a bit of pop hits from the 50s, many songs for a good straight 5 years where they were, songs Up on the Roof, Under the Boardwalk, produced a lot of it by Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller. And this is a greatest hits. And yeah, they're a great vocal band. They didn't write their music, as far as I know. Benny King had a solo act with a couple of hits too. He was in this band. There might be a version or two of the Drifters still running around, but obviously, if you had hits in the 1950s, you're pretty much not going to have any original members left in the band. So, like a lot of groups are, if you do see that the Drifters are playing anywhere, don't expect anybody that's been in the band more than 30 years, and even if that's stretched too. But I certainly wouldn't bother seeing them if there's nobody from the records that are still with the group. That's for sure. Okay, we're going to see what's next. But the Drifters, on that note, they really had nice harmonies and nice vocals. I like a lot of their songs. Number 450, Elton John, Tumbleweed Connection. Okay. One of his earlier outputs. Famously worked with Bernie Taupin, the lyricist, who would slap the lyrics on Elton's desk or Elton's piano, and Elton would put the music to it. Great relationship that those two had. I can't think of specifically what songs were from that album. I know a few of them because I've heard the album a few times, but I don't remember if there were any hits, like big hits from there. But it was kind of a country style just by the name Tumbleweed Connection. So maybe one day I'll research it and figure out which ones off of that were transferred into being hit records. Here's a band that's another one of these bands from the 90s or 2000s. Number 457 is My Morning Jacket with their album Z. From Kentucky. Guessing I heard a couple of songs from them. But let's face it, they did not become a mainstream superstar act. So their music did not end up heavily being played where I live. But I do know their name. They're from 2005, this album. If I went and did a little checking, I'd probably recognize a few of their songs. Could be. Let's see, number 456. Okay, I know a bit about this album. It was Here My Dear by Marvin Gaye. From what I remember, it was Gaye's divorce to Berry Gordy's daughter, and there was all kinds of contractual debts he had to pay to her to pay restitution, or not restitution, when you alimony and other settlements. So he called it Here My Dear because he was giving the royalties to her. It was Berry Gordy's sister that he was married to. I don't know if there's any major songs on there. Maybe he was not in the mood to give his best work to an album that he was giving the money to Marvin Gaye's sister. So obviously it was a bad time in his life to be in debt to someone whose brother owns the record company he worked for. It must have been quite complicated indeed. Number 455 is next, Los Lobos, How Will the Wolf Survive? Is that the one with La Bamba on it or not? I know they had that big album with La Bamba, and then a couple of other good songs came out from them, but no, judging by the year, 1984. When did La Bamba come out? I think a little later. Maybe this was just pre-La Bamba, which is one of their 2 or 3 songs that was popular. They kind of they did the songs for that movie about Buddy Holly. And still popular, still around, but not known for a lot of their songs in the mainstream, like people who are huge fans of them, like anything, and follow them through all their years, will know this album, and will probably rave about it, but I didn't follow them extensively. I just know about 2 or 3 songs that I could know by them. And unfortunately, if I spent my time catching up with 10,000 musical acts, I wouldn't have time for anything else. So I just have to leave most music to the side, despite the fact that it's Eddie G's music world. I don't know every song in the world. Alice Cooper, that's funny that I should come across him, because I just got into like a 6 song in a row journey on YouTube of Alice Cooper, and I liked a lot of. I was listening to Only Women Bleed. I was listening to You and Me. Uh, what was the other one? Poison, and about 3 other ones. So this is Love It to Death. Was this the? Let's see. Bob Ezrin is the producer who produced Kiss and Pink Floyd. And I'm 18 was on it. So this is one of his earliest outings, 1971. I think he was around in the 60s too, but not sure how if he had records out or not. He was probably just knocking around small clubs. I know he has a unique deal with his manager, a handshake deal that I heard that the manager gets a percentage of everything Cooper makes, and it's not written in a contract form. No lawyers were involved. And the manager, forget his name, said that it's been honored since the beginning, which is maybe 45, 50 years. And we've all worked together well. And imagine nobody defaulted on payments of anything. Maybe, I mean, to get a deal like that is pretty amazing. And it's a rarity, and you won't find that too often anymore. Okay, we'll go on to the next act. 453, EPMD, Strictly Business. This is a rap or hip-hop album from 1988. Wow, let's see. It's Eric Sermon and Parrish Smith. I think I might have heard their name somewhere, but from Long Island. It's kind of hip-hop funk is what I know. And they had samples on there which they didn't pay for originally, but I don't know if this was a big deal or not. I've heard the name EPMD, but there's thousands of hip-hop, funk, rap acts that I don't know much about, so he's one of them. Here's another guy I don't know much about, but I think this guy might be nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. John Prine. Yeah, I think he's one of the nominees. I'm not sure if he'll be one of the 7 or 8 picked to actually get inducted, but he's on the list, and they'll whittle it down. So they usually come up with 15, and they whittle it down to 7. They'll announce the winners in another 3-4 months, I'm sure. But that's about all I have to say about him. If I spent the time curious enough about John Prine, I'd have a lot more to say about John Prine. But I've never put in the effort, so I don't know much about him. Next one, 451, Amy Winehouse, Back to Black. More famous for dying than for living to me. I mean, she had a couple of good songs, and there was a big deal made of her, but as soon as she died, I mean, it was like she was sent into, people just worshiped this girl. Death brought her massive success. And she was one of these rebellious-looking girls with the tattoos. Rehab, then there was Back to Black was one of her songs. So, I mean, I liked it. It was good. It seemed like she would probably continue to have success, and died due to whatever, was it drugs or alcohol? Bit of everything, I don't know. I heard there's some kind of, hologram Amy Winehouse shows that might happen. Really? Not really anything I would be interested to see, but okay. I guess this album is great, and everybody thinks it's worth it, so I like what she's done, but I don't think it's a big deal. Next, we're going to the next one. We're at number 450 on the top 500 albums, according to Rolling Stone. Jackson Browne. He comes to town every once in a while. I've never put enough effort into seeing him, so I never did. This is an album called For Every Man. Let's see if I know any songs on it. I don't see much mention about the songs. This is from 1973, so until the live album in 78 around, and Doctor My Eyes, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to this guy. Then he had songs like Lawyers in Love and kind of started drifting more towards more the mainstream. I know he did co-write "Take It Easy" for the Eagles, so he was part of the California soft rock scene. But you know, he was unfortunately linked to Daryl Hannah. I think she claimed he hit him. He hit her, sorry, and now she's getting married to Neil Young. Wow, talk about exciting trivia. So that's it, Jackson Browne for Every Man. Number 449, Big Star. Third, Sister Lovers. Now this is a band that's famous for, like, they get a massive amount of respect, adulation. The lead singer Alex Chilton died a few years ago. He was, of course, more famous for being in the Box Tops. They had about 3 or 4 hits. The Letter was their biggest one. He was only 16 when that came out, and then he went on to do Big Star. And this was their third and final album in 1974. But it got released in 78. I don't know. I think I actually made an effort to listen to Big Star a couple of times. Nothing stuck, because when you've never heard a song on the radio and you only dip into it for 1 or 2 times, it's not likely to become a favorite of yours. It's mostly just going to be like a song that you have to put effort into. It's an act, Big Star, that you got to put effort into appreciating. You've never heard it on the radio pretty much, and you have to go and look for it and listen to it and spend the time. And I spent a little time, never got a big thrill out of it, and that was it. Number 448 is The Police, Synchronicity. This is their humongous album that they came out with, I think, as their last album. Never figured out why this album, this band, burst into the scene, 78, 79, I'll say early 79. Bangs through 4 or 5 years of massive success, and that was the end of the band. But the story is, of course, that infighting, jealousy, the drummer and the guitarist didn't write much, if anything, didn't run the band, didn't decide anything, jealousy, little things like that is what I've heard. But off this album, there was a classic songs like King of Pain. Every Breath You Take, of course, has been played over and over. Was used by P. Diddy for his tribute to Biggie Smalls. They reunited in 2009. But since I saw them in 1979 and 1980, I didn't feel like seeing them reunited in 2009. So twice was enough. And maybe I should have in hindsight, but I don't think it matters that much. And according to Sting, his best material comes when he's in turmoil and stressed and this and that. Well, I guess since the band didn't last after that, they reunited. I mean, Stuart Copeland and Andy Summers probably were decently successful financially, but I mean, if there was a potential to make a couple $1 million each on the reunion, I guess it's pretty hard to turn that down. And as far as Sting goes, he didn't need a couple $1 million that badly as much as the other two did, or a few million or whatever they made. But Sting fell victim to his, I think it was, brother-in-law that invested the money and embezzled the money, so he blew some money in his early years. 447, Stan Getz and Joao Gilberto. I know they did the song The Girl from Ipanema. That was like a crossover thing. Stan Getz was a jazz guy. My father used to talk about it because he liked jazz. Like, he used to be into it. Not my era. I know The Girl from Ipanema, but when you only know one song off of a guy who's had many albums and was successful over many years, then you cannot count yourself as an expert on Stan Getz. I just did not go deep enough into their catalog to have a valid opinion of him. So I'm like ignorant about Stan Getz, because it just was never something that I paid much attention to. Maybe if I know I listened to my father's records of Stan Getz and other people like Benny Goodman, so I got a tiny bit of exposure to that way back when. 446, MC5, back in the USA. Yeah, great stuff. Another band that did not really turn out the hits, because that wasn't really what they were trying to do. They were like an Iggy Pop and the Stooges type of a band. I know they, one of the guys named Smith, he married Patti Smith, um, so she didn't have to change her name. And I forget his first name. Anyway, Smith, Fred Smith? Yeah, Fred Sonic Smith. He married Patti Smith, another kind of somewhat underground singer that kind of rose to a bit of fame, but not for long. And he died a few years ago. And I even heard somebody call up a talk show saying that would be great to get them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or, you know, something like that. But it's not impossible. They probably had another 2-3 albums out that I don't know. I know the one song from them, Kick Out the Jams, which was pretty good. So they were heavy rock back in the time zone when that kind of stuff was not played on top 40. So, of course, they didn't, like the Velvet Underground, you know. You weren't turning on top 40 pop stations and listening to the Velvet Underground or MC5. It just wasn't happening. Steve Miller Band, speaking of someone who, now we're talking about someone who got on the radio a lot, pop charts quite a bit. Fly Like an Eagle, oh, I do remember that. 1976, 16 years old. I'm not sure if I bought the album or not, but I knew every song on it. It was a commercially massive album. He had just come off of recovering from a car accident he had earlier, a few years before. And very catchy stuff. Rockin' Me was number one. Take the Money and Run was pretty big, but not number one. And it was on the charts for nearly 2 years. He had a great career that lasted to early 80s. So from late 60s to early 80s, if he can keep coming out with popular songs, it's pretty impressive. Boz Scaggs was in his band at some point. Not sure about that album, probably not, but before that. Abracadabra was a good song too, but like all of these guys, the hits run out by at a certain point, and they do a tour and an oldies tour, and that's basically where Steve Miller is at, still around. I heard him interviewed a few years ago. 444 on the top 500 albums is the band War. The World is a Ghetto. Cisco Kid, yeah, that was on there. That was played a lot. I like that song. And they did some touring, but there's only one guy left from the band, so you won't get the singer. I forget his name. Brand? I don't remember his name. But they had that kind of Latin rock funk mix that was pretty good, pretty maybe the part of the P-Funk thing. But they had some great songs on my youth, or when this came out, 1972. I liked the band, and I used to hear them on the radio all the time. And now, like I say, they're just part of history. Number 443, Cheap Trick. A band I saw 3 times. This was In Color, 1977. They were an underground band. They were building up their popularity. They were moving into the mainstream. And by this time, they were just about on the Budokan Live album was the next album, I'm pretty sure, after that. Live at Budokan, where they broke into the mainstream and had multi-million selling record that sold quite a bit, the Japanese record. And I loved this album, In Color, bought it. And great vocals by Robin Zander. He popped up in a talk show earlier this year. Still has a great voice. I have seen them 5 times. Don't know if I'm probably tempted to see them again. The last time they were supposed to come to Montreal, it was canceled. I don't know why. And I saw them live in the rainstorm outside with ZZ Top. So it was kind of a miserable experience, that one, but I've always liked their innovative music. We'll end it with Devo. Question. Are we not men? Are we Devo is the answer. And yeah, I famously didn't go to see Devo because found them too weird. I mean, they were scary, kind of, like with their weird costumes and the sound effects. It was like they're from another planet, these guys. I don't know. I was only like 18, so maybe that explains why I was like saying to myself, this Devo is like freaky to me. They're like, what, are they going to be maniacs at the concert? Maybe they'll jump me. I don't know. So I didn't go when they came to town, but definitely a good band. Mark Mothersbaugh went on to do soundtracks. Look for the name on movies. Google him, whatever you have to do. Mark Mothersbaugh. He came out of this band and literally has written soundtracks to 15 or 20 movies, if not more. So he's really, really talented guy. Just like Danny Elfman from Oingo Boingo, who also had a bit of a popular band for a year or two. And this guy, Danny Elfman, this guy writes soundtracks constantly. Look for his name. So that ends another Eddie G's Music World for the week. I combined some gripes of things that get on my nerves with the top 500 records of all time countdown. So we are at the end zone, like football games and teams. So I appreciate you listening. Sorry if I rambled on a little too much about things that bug me, but it's just my mood. And I'll see you next week, Eddie G's Music World, for November 5th, 2018. Thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.